Yeah, Minister, my question is in relation to Mr. Dickerson's news about Mr. Dickerson's arrest and his bail hearing or one on December 16th. I guess given that there are often connections between drugs and gangs, this might be a relevant question to ask you. Is the PLP sending the wrong message by standing behind Mr. Dickerson as a candidate? Shouldn't we be adopting a no tolerance stance?
I'll speak to the last part first. The decision to retain Mr. Dickerson as a candidate would not be, my decision. In fact, it would be that of the party, and you'd have to talk to the party leader and the candidates selection committee about that part. But on the other issue of sending a message, I realize Mr. Dickerson himself spoke on this matter. He may have indicated that the drug in question was marijuana. I don't know. We do know that there is a move and an evolution to eventually decriminalize small amounts of marijuana for personal use. At this point, I must emphasize that it is still an illegal substance, and any amount of it is illegal, and it's illegal to be in possession of it. On the issue of actually, using it or not using it, as I said before, there is, at this point, and me as a Minister of National Security, there has to be a zero tolerance for possession or use of any illicit drug, and that's the position that we and the party continue to take, and the government continue to take.
Well, that's my question.
Yes.
As a minister, is your party sending the wrong message by keeping him on the candidate?
I am not aware of whether he's being retained or not. It's not election day yet, and I'm sure that decisions are being made in the boiler room as to what happens in this case.
Okay. Do you know when he was arrested?
I did some research, and I was aware that it was, I think, September the 8th. And that only came to light by his own disclosure. But I do not believe that that it was a generally known thing that he had been arrested. Certainly some of us were very shocked, surprised, and caught on the back foot by the revelation.
Well, did they reveal it after he was rolled out of the country?
Well, it's obvious because it just came to the notice of people within the party, just within, I guess, days, disclosed by himself, or
Within the last few days. Okay.
Yes, to my knowledge, yes.
Right. What we understand is that his file was actually on your desk. Could you confirm or is that not?
I'm not a policeman, sir.
So you have no knowledge of this?
Beg your pardon?
His file wasn't in your office?
No, I'm completely baffled by that,
Okay.
what file you're talking about.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
I guess my other question relates to decriminalization.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't, you indicated the marijuana possession for personal use has not actually yet been decriminalized.
That's correct.
Okay, but we're moving towards it.
I'll say this. There's a policy with the police service to caution for amounts around about, I think, for personal use, around about 3 grams or thereabout. But that is policy. It's not law. In other words, the police, I believe, have the option to caution for small amounts for personal use, but it's discretionary. And those decisions are made by, I believe, through a set formula that the commissioner oversees.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just add here,
Yeah.
I think one of the important outcomes of that particular policy is to recognize that the police work in conjunction with the Department of Public Prosecutions. And the ultimate aim is to ensure that our young Bermudians in particular do not get criminal records as a result of these transgressions of the law. Caution policy has actually been in place for 30 to 40 years, at least, through the police. But it was, in recent years, has become more codified, and agreements in place between the DPPs and the police. I'm not speaking about the Dickerson case at all when I say that. I'm just saying that there is there's a caution policy in place for a very specific reason. It's really to give people a second chance. And I know Mr. Perinchief and I, when we were police officers, cautioned dozens, if not hundreds, dozens ourselves, but we're aware of hundreds of young men and women who received cautions because they carried small quantities of drugs, because it was the right thing to do.
Sounds like decriminalization to me. Are we saying then, as a party, that there is a plan to decriminalize marijuana?
Well, I am aware, from where I sit, that decriminalization has to be discussed at length, and there is developing a consensus that decriminalization of marijuana for small amounts and personal use should be looked at for the future, yes.
And I think, Minister, if I could add as well, our position is laid out in our throne speech document of 2011, very specifically laid out there, specific reference.